family like you suggested, and put in pictures of my homes when I grew up, and my current home comparatively. This house is the one that I feel like I grew up in the most, because it has pillars on the porch. And they didn't ask me, but my parents decided it would be a good idea to enclose that porch so that they could have more space. So they took away my pillars. And now I finally have a pillar. I have a condo and it has a pillar out in front of my condo. So it's come around. But I started out in 5th grade at Lincoln Elementary School in Rapid City, South Dakota. And Mrs. Beekman encouraged me to write, and I aspired to be a published author at that time, and that was in 1960. But thinking about it was all I accomplished towards that goal for me.
You astound me with all the things that you've done.
Well, you come out of big book.
You are.
I'm
You
working.
haven't had time to stay married, girl.
And
I
how,
understand why you didn't.
I'm 62.
this is remarkable that you have done this much stuff.
I would have guessed her before.
As I continued on in my schooling, I did go beyond the 5th grade. I went on to high school, and my scholastic grades favored English and the languages. And in high school, Mrs. Mary Haight taught a creative writing class, and she was complimentary on my writing with high marks. But the most important thing she ever did was to invite me to the Black Hills Writers Group. And that was around 1971. The founder of that group was Laura Bauer Van Nuys, and she had published her family stories, which became a Disney musical movie, the one and only original family band. So I could touch fame. Okay. And I wanted to emulate her. So as an active member of Black Hills Writers Group, I met many other aspiring authors and celebrated their accomplishments. And they introduced me to the writer's market and contest entries and submissions to magazines and other such writing tools. And in 1986, after achieving some success in writing, Irene Cavern, she's another member of the Black Hills Writers Group, invited me to join the Black Hills branch of the National League of American Penwomen in letters. But my parents were Harmon Lee Rose and Evelyn May Swinehart, and my brother James Orion Rose, and we were the Four Roses when I was growing up. So I gave a little bit of history on my father. He grew up in a soddy on the prairie. It was cut into a hill, and his father kept a bull snake because that bull snake would chase away the rattlesnakes. And so that was the kind of place that he grew up in. And our Rose family cemetery is on an acre donated from another family member's homestead there. And that's about 50 miles northeast of Wall, South Dakota, if you know where the Badlands are. And I went to Rapid City Central High School, although it wasn't called Central at that time. It was the only high school before I graduated, and then they had a new high school, and then they changed the name. And my grandmother, Rose, graduated from that high school, and so did my mother. And my grandfather, Swinehart, had attended there. So it's an alma mater for all of us. So anyway, we go on to when I went to college. I had tried several times to go to college. Right after high school, I went to Chadron State College in Chadron, Nebraska, because I wanted to be away from home, and it was across the state line, and it was 100 miles, and my parents allowed me to do that. And so I paid for my first semester, and you know it cost $900 including room and board for that first semester. And I paid for it by working at SS Kresge Company.
What year was that?
That was in 1968. And I actually did specify that in here because when I did get my college degree, it was at Dakota Wesleyan University in Mitchell, South Dakota. And because I was working full-time and I was raising my children and my stepchildren part-time, I had very limited time. So I took Klix and I tested out of 2 years of college. And I took evening classes and directed studies and weekend classes until I graduated from college. I did my practice teaching in Plankington Reform School in the summertime, so I had a captured audience.